So I was talking to someone today and I was discussing how I'm trying to move into the field of backend software engineering, and we just started talking about that having that conversation. He's a software engineer, and one of the things that he was suggesting that I do, he started asking me about just my competencies now, and I was explaining that okay, microservice architecture, and he was asking specifically about dependency injection and that kind of stuff. Now, this guy is specifically a C Sharp developer, a .NET developer, and one of the suggestions that he was giving to me is, okay, here's something that I think would be pretty beneficial for you to spend a little time to investigate and do, which is dependency injection. He was very much big into that, to more understand that, and to then what he was saying is to have a service class. And I made sure to ask, wait, what do you mean by service class? And the way that he explained this was service class is one in which your software reaches out to another class, so outside of your project. Okay, so for like example, a database or something else where it needs to reach out to some other API. Okay, and what he was saying is you need to be able to inject that, mock it for unit tests. So, all right, awesome. We have something to work with. Let's just play around with this idea. And so today that in this video, what I'm going to try to do is kind of investigate what he was talking about, see what we can learn about this. So let's get going. I'm gonna minimize myself here. So I do have my project that I was working on for a little while, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I have a Java Spring Boot application. Maybe I can do unit tests, and then what was it, Mockito, for creating mock objects, I guess. And that's kind of what we're thinking about. Like, I don't even know what that necessarily means. I think it's like faking the data that you're getting back, but we'll investigate it. So let's come here and just talk about it. So I I have a Spring Boot application that I want to do what? Use for learning. Okay. Specifically, what I want to learn today, specifically, what I want to learn and investigate today is a concept I was told about by a software engineer. He told me that I should learn dependency injection, specifically in the context of mocking of mocking I just said it, service, come on, I just said it, I just said the word service something, APIs, service, what did I just say? Something. For unit testing, he explained that it would be mocking those inputs, which would simulate simulate grabbing data from the database. Okay. How would you suggest doing this? And can you explain the topic so I can understand? Okay. Okay, so what is dependency injection? So my current understanding of what dependency injection is we have these. Let me just try to find it. Let me just try to find an example. Mm, like here. So this would be what? A constructor dependency injection, because this is the constructor method right here. And we see that we pass in an argument which is of type supply repository class, and we have this object right here. Okay. And now what Spring Boot does is it goes in and says, okay, well, I need to create this class, which means that I need to start this method, and this method takes in a parameter, which is this class, which means I need to go and create this class or create an object of this class, and then I just assign it here. So Spring Boot takes care of the instantiation of the object. That's what I understand as dependency injection right now. And there's multiple different ways of doing dependency injection. So I said that this was like a constructor, but then there's also ones which are, I believe this actually is one as well up here. This dot repository. Okay, maybe there's multiple. I don't know. Okay. Private final. Because I remember you can do it outside of the constructor as well, but I was reading that you're supposed to do it in the actual constructor. Like that's the best method of doing it. Okay, so let's go and look at this. Dependency injection is a design pattern used to achieve loose coupling between classes. Instead of a class creating its own dependencies, they are injected from the outside using a framework like Spring. Okay, so public class, user service, private final. All right, well, here we go. We can kind of look into this because they're using the private final as well, and then doing this same thing. And then public user, get user ID, return user repository dot find by ID, or else null. Okay. So here, user service, the class name, depends on user repository. Okay. But it doesn't create it. It receives it via the constructor injector. Yeah, so this class is not creating it, but the framework is creating it. Okay, why mocking is useful for unit testing. And let me add a little bit more context to the conversation that we had, because I was very curious, like, okay, well, every time someone's talking to me, I'm trying to gain as much knowledge as I can. And one of the stories that he gave was an example that he was creating unit tests. He was told to go create unit tests, and he said, okay, great. So I'm going to go and grab data from a database. So he actually went and grabbed the data from the database, and he said that he made like 100 or 200 unit tests. And he knew what the data was, which he would be grabbing from the database. He verified, like, that's the unit test. Is does it equal 10? Does this equal the data I'm expecting, right? And okay, pass. It went, and he was working on that for a long time. Okay, and things were good until one day, all of a sudden, all of his unit tests failed. And then he was like, what's going on? What happened? And what occurred was the data in the database changed. Therefore, whatever, like, I don't know, cups no longer equaled 10, it equaled 12. So the unit test failed. So there we go. There's an example of why you want to use mocked data. That was an example that kind of like stuck in my head, so I wanted to tell it to you guys as well, so maybe it can stick in your head. Okay, let's read this. I'm gonna have a little bit more water. I'm thirsty. All right. So, why mocking is useful in unit testing. When you're writing unit tests, you want to isolate the class you're testing. Yep, so you want everything, you're only want to be testing that one class. You're not doing an integration test. Okay, that means replacing real dependencies like a database with mocked versions that simulate behavior without doing actual work. Yep. So instead of hitting a real database, you mock the service or repository that would normally do that. So how to mock a service or repository in Spring Boot. And I want to use Mockito, and I see Mockito right there. So even if it didn't tell me to use Mockito, I was going to use it because I kept seeing that over and over and over and over and over as one of the skills which was desired for back-end roles. So I was going to use Mockito anyways. So, all right. You can use Mockito, popular mocking framework. Okay, so we just need to include our dependencies and we need Mockito core. I might actually already have these because I know that I did unit test. Let me go into my application. No, not this one. I want to go. Come on, what is that file? Palm. There we go. Okay, so I have the Eureka server, I have the Swagger, I have MongoDB, okay, MongoDB again, Spring Boot Starter Web, okay, here we go, Spring Boot Starter Test, Spring Boot Starter Test, so I already have this one, and I just need to do this Mockito. All right, and let's fix our a bundle was modified. Do you want to synchronize? Yes, I do. Okay. All right, so there we go. And what I'm going to try to do is this file, not the Palm file, but I mean this microservice, it talks to our MongoDB database. Let's mock it. That's what I'm trying to accomplish, is just mocking this. I wonder if the guy believed me, because I was talking to him about this topic, and I was like, all right, when I get home tonight, I am going to, I'm going to implement what you're talking about. I'm going to try it for myself. I'm going to learn it. He seemed a little bit skeptical when I told him that. And I was like, no, seriously, I'm going to go home. And once I get off work, I'm going to go and start trying to implement some of this, learn about it. And he's like, all right, we'll see. I was like, okay. So write the test on the class. Source, main, Java. Do I do it on here? So get user by ID. So no, this is the one that actually talks. Supply Java. no, it's going to be in my routes, right? So that's going to be here. So I want to go find all. Let's do this find all. Okay, so this is going to be public class user service test. This doesn't seem to be the right one, actually. Maybe it's in here? Extends with Mockito here. Mock private user repository. Okay. Private user services test. So I think it's in here, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Extension. Okay. Public class user test, which is user service and then just the name of the test. Okay. Public class. All right. And then maybe consumer controller test. What is going on? Why is my... And this is just like a normal class, okay. And then we have this new new annotation, which is mock, okay. And then private user repository. So this is an instance of this class type. And I want to do it on this. So supply repository. Okay, right? Inject mocks. User service. That is the name of the class. Okay. What is this? Yeah, whatever. Inject mocks. Private. And then this is the name of the class, right? So consumer controller, okay. So it didn't like that. Oh, and then we need to do consumer controller. We need an instance of it. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So now we can do test. All right. Public void test, and we're gonna do find all, right? Yeah. Test find all. Okay. User, new user. Where does this come from? Public user. I don't know where this user comes from. User, where is user defined? Of type user, but I don't see that. Public user, okay. When user repository, which is here, dot find by ID, find by ID, so this is going to return back an input and pass it to the win, dot then return optional dot of mock user. Okay. User results equals user service dot get user by ID. Mock uses a fake user repository, injects a fake or that fake into user service. When dot then return tells the mock what to do when it's called. You test user service without touching the database. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this, and we're gonna paste that into there. And I am going to take this and paste it into here. Okay. Because I'm not sure what it's trying to do. So it says that I'm doing injects mock and mock correctly, but get all supplies in my controller. The goal of test find all, you want to test when get all supplies is called. It returns the list of supplies. Yes. Provided by the mock supply repository. Okay. test find all, okay. Test find all here. Arrange, create mock data, okay. So new supply. New supply here. List of supplies. So what is supplies? Or what is supply? Supply is this is what I'm returning from this method, okay? And so it is going to be the response of this. And this is the repository, which is up here, which is supply repository, which is the thing that I talk to the database with, and I perform the method find all, okay? And so find all grabs all the data from the database. So it is going to be a list of entries in the database. Can I even do like go to definition here? And so each entry has a type this. Has a primary key of ID, a field for name, and a field for quantity, okay? So now what I need to do is I just call supply, which is the type, supply1 is equal to new supply. And now I need this right here, which is going to be the ID of, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Then we're going to say, oh, it needs to be a string, so it's going to be like this, okay? It liked that, awesome. Name is going to be what? Int is undefined. Come on. What was this? Fine. I'll look it up here. String of name, int quantity. Okay. So this is going to be a string. Okay, so thank you. Now it gives me name. So I want to say Timothy and a quantity. So this actually is going to be apples. Okay. And now we're going to come down here and create another supply. Supply 2 is equal to new supply, and then ID is going to be equal to a string, which is 3, 4, 2, 1. It is going to have a name of, I think we said cups, and then a quantity of 10. Okay. Great. Now and it says arrange. I remember the unit testing has 3 steps, and I think arrange was one of them. So arrange, create the mock data. All right. Now mock repository behavior. So okay. So now this should be where I tell what the result will be of a given operation when of my fake mocked function is called. I think that's what's going on. So when what? When repository dot so when this fake item is called dot find all, when this method is called, because this doesn't actually exist, right? Repository does not exist. This one does, I believe. Injects the fake into user service. So I'm going to be testing. Okay. I find all, and then I do then return. So this is just what I should always return whenever this find all method is called. Mock supplies, which, okay, we forgot to do that up here. Okay, so what are we actually returning? So a list of supply called mock supplies. Okay. It's equal to arrays dot as list supply 1 supply 2. Okay, so we're creating a list. Can I do just like I don't know what the import of that is going to be. Well, okay. So we created those 2 supplies. We put them into a list, and this is what we're going to return. We say return that list when our fake repository has the method findAll called on it. Then what we do is we take a list. So we're going to get the result of something, which is going to be a list of supplies. We're going to do consumer controller. Okay, so we have not created consumer controller, so that must be, oh, we created it outside. So here, and then do get all supplies. Okay. here. And then see assert 2. So the result size is 2, and water is result dot 0. So the 0th index, the first element is called water, the second one is called food. Okay. So with that, I should be able to come in here and do the, it still doesn't like something in here, but that's fine. So now we do act. Okay. List. Supply. Result equals what? Consumer controller. Okay, so our fake thing that we, or no, our like thing that was generated, right? Consumer controller dot get all supplies, okay? And now assert, which is going to be verify the result is accurate. Okay. So I want to assert equals, that makes sense. So 2 is how much result dot size. Okay, so we're gonna have 2 elements, that makes sense. Assert equals water is going to be our first element. Actually, is that what I created? No, I created apples. Okay. Apples. And we want to do, result dot get, result here is going to be a supply, which supply is here, and I need a getter, which is called get name. Dot get name. Okay. Dot get name. Okay. Oh, right. I need first to do dot get the 0th one in the list. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. Assert equals, and then we're going to say, what is it? Cups. And result, dot get the first item, okay, dot get name here. Now, to further our understanding, we should also be able to do assert equals, and then quantity of 3 and 10. So 3 result dot get of the 0th and get quantity. Okay, so we should be able to do that. Now, how do we run it? Okay. I wrote my file. Now, how do I actually do the test? going to put this entire thing in. Let's say, also, I am getting errors on the, which line was I? These 3 lines. I think I didn't import arrays when or list. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So required. There should be result.get1. Yeah, that it should be, shouldn't it? Okay. Put that up here. Delete these, 'cause, like, yeah, that's fine. I didn't do like Mockito.Mockito. Okay, I guess I didn't. It's fine. Okay. How to run it. Maven test. Okay. So in here, go into my consumer resource. Maven test. Okay. So test run 2. I believe this means all of them were successful. So I'm going to copy this, paste that into there, and then I am going to change this to be 0 and rerun that test. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. There are test failures. Okay. Tests run 1. Failures 0, errors 0. Okay. Test run 1. Failures 1, errors 0. Failure is here. Column example, consumer resource, find all. Okay. So it occurred in this test find all, which is what it says there. And then consumer controller test find all expected cups but was apples. Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Test run 2, failures 1, errors 0, skipped 0. There are test failures. Okay. Okay. That is pretty cool. That's really cool. So I didn't need to I thought that this was actually going to be a little bit more difficult. I thought that I was going to have to do something with Docker, that I was going to have to get all of my files or projects or microservices up and running, but actually that makes sense. Like if it's a unit test, I only need to run this unit singular project. And I'm okay. And I don't even need to get like the database involved. I can just run it straight and mock that data. I need to understand a little bit more like, okay, so moving forward, what I'm going to do is I need to understand a little bit more about mock, about inject mock, about test. I think just it tells Spring Boot, hey, when you see Maven test, do this. When you see test here, okay, so it's going to do this, and then it's also going to do this. So it's going to do two things, which is why we saw a test, or two tests there. So I think I get that. This is fine. And then once I understand these up here, I think I will be able to understand this and this a little bit more. I think I have a general idea of what's going on. It's just like telling, but I need to understand like which one is actually real and which one is fake. But I think it's just saying this is the response, or this is the response when this method is called, and then we do get all supplies. So we run that method. Get all supplies here. Okay. We return that. And then we check it, make sure it's correct. Okay, so I think I'm going to go watch some videos online just to understand what's going on here a little bit more. Maybe understand more about the structure of like why unit testing is useful, what are the different ways that you can do it, and make it meaningful, and just watch some videos on it. But I'm glad that we were able to get some hands-on experience right now, and I think that that's going to be able to be very fruitful. So awesome. Now, one more thing that we forgot to do, which is make sure that we commit what we did. Okay, git commit -m added unit test for consumer resource. Find all method. Okay. Using Mockito to mock database connection. Okay. All right, so git push origin. Okay, there we go. We got our green dot for today. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe, and yeah, I'm gonna keep on going, trying to learn more and move forward with becoming a back-end software engineer. Yeah, so thank you. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and goodbye.